she could able to frame syllabus, and she was in she is also present in the journal reviewer and everything. And so she has written in a simple manner. You could able to capture the book. The book doesn't carry your cover up mostly. Hardly it would come around 50 to 60 pages from that book alone for entire syllabus. This book carries 50 to 60 pages only, not beyond that. So you need not worry. Somebody unmute the mic. Who is there? So it's 60 maximum 60 pages from the book, covering a second and third unit, and a small portion from the first unit. That's all. Beyond that, whatever carries the thing is going to be covered up in the Mani Subramanian. So I will scan all those things and put it across to you. Mani Subramanian, I have posted full book, which was available on the net, so I could able to download and put it across. This book is it's like we cannot able to trace the book on online, so I have ordered and got it. Now we see what is the nonsense which you have given in the inside the book. How we can do that work. The services provider, whatever we have seen earlier, it's really good. Then we have seen all this. We have covered up what has happened in this one. What we are going to do in the coming session is we are going to see what is an individual report is going to be. If I say M event report, M get or M set, M action, we are going to see what are these things, how it has been described in the PDU, or what are the information it will get from the reporter or an agent or the manager, and how it will be passed on that one. These details will be there. Then we are going to see what are the error types which comes across when using these messages, because error is one of the highest factor how you will interpret it up there. It could be an error due to the management side or managing object side or the managed object side, or it could be due to the communication side it could happen. So these things can be properly intimated so that they can take action, or they can wait or resend some request, so that it could be an easier way to allocate resources and manage the logs also. So these information is going to be happen this one. Then we are going to see what is the rows and what is the CMIP is going to carry as a PDU. What type of PDU packet, data packet is going to be there? What are the information a CMIP will carry along with this? Rows is also going to carry it. So it's a small inner details which has been given in your book, so that I will explain that up in this coming session 3 classes, and we will come to know what it will be there. Otherwise, this is this picture, the whole picture, it's display what is the content of the second unit. That's all. How you will learn it up is you have to find it out what are the SMAS is going to be. That's what the service SMI is going to be. What are the services available, and how the services will be rendered in the PDU, or how it will be visualized by each agent and the manager and everybody. Then what are the rows? What is the job of the rows? What is the job of ACSC? What is the role of CMIP? How it will be projected? These are the things completely cover up in your second unit. So don't worry about the simple figure will tell you what are the things you need to know. These are the terms you are going to see it up in the second unit itself. So you should get familiarized with the terms, and you know what is the meaning of the term. Then you can able to write any 2 marks comes across in this from this unit itself. So we are going to get into 2 things we are going to see it up in this chapter. In this session, what is it? One is the invoke identifier, another one is the link identifier. I hope you have learned the sequence number from your computer network side. Sequence number is one of the number which says somebody is coming after me in a sequence manner. In a sense, if the person is not coming in this sequence number, we come to know he will come later, but he will be attached with the line. Suppose you people A, B, C 3 section are coming together, and you just want the people to place it up in a line. Individual class will carry individual lines. Okay, you have to stand it up in a line in A section alone, B section individual one, C section another one. So it says even though the B section number comes across, the B section, A section person comes together, A section person will go and stand in his line, B section will stand in his line, right? Then the same thing is A section, again 2 or 3 B section will come across, they will stand in the B section, they never stand in the A section line. Because A section has a sequence of numbers 1 to 55 or 53 numbers. So even the 51 comes later after all the lines have been filled up. He is going to be stand in the A section. You come to know he belongs to the A section. He never stands in the B section. It says the sequence numbers has been stand across every packet, every person. They belongs to one line or one sequence here, one order. You can say it a A section only. So in the same way, we have got an identifier that is called invoke identifier. Now we see what is an invoker and what is the performance here. Then there is a link identifier. We'll come back here. This is a managed operations model they are given. What is a managed operations is invoker and performer. There are two terms they are given. One is an invoker term, another is a performer. The invoker terms come from the remote object. If you are using Cobra, then you come to know invoker is one of the term who is initiate any request, so they call it as an invoke. They invoke the request, so they call it up as an invoker. The performer is receiving the request and they do some action based on the request is called the performer, right? They are two different terms. Here they haven't mentioned who is the agent, who is the manager. Clearly go across. Here this managed operation, this operation once again. One second. This it's gone across once again. This is going to be a management model, okay? Operation models. It says we are having a this whole thing is considered as an individual one. Here here this one is going to be a management object. This agent is going to be a performer. This is invoker. Here, whoever do the request, whoever consider the request and do the response is a performer. Then the invoker is who requested. As an operation basis, the services which is most of the time operation basis, get, set, cancel, or invoke, whatever comes across all the operation services, you have listened this one. Earlier, you have given, these are the operations which is carried out this one. These operation services are going to be like this manner. The invoker is going to be a manager, or I can call it a managing object, and the performer is going to be the agent or the managed objects. Okay, the two terms are comes across. This is a managed object. What the agent will do, each agent will carry a lot of objects and their instances. So this agent will work on this one, and whatever request has been placed by is going to be given back to them. So here the data line, they are given data lines. Data line is going to be the unconfirm or confirm one, so that they have given as a data. Confirm in a sense, its acknowledgement will be sent back along the way. Response will be sent back. Sometimes they won't send any responses for some of the requests placed across them. So they need to read them. So the request will be here. It says you can, for a single request, you can get more responses also. That is why we are using synchronization or linked responses. The responses are linked to one another using some of the identifier. For that identifier, we are using the linked invoke, right? In link identifier. This invoke identifier is one of the things which says, if suppose he is placing a request and marking as a number invoke identifier 71, the request, the response get from the agent is going to be the 71. So if it is not written, invoker identity is not same for the request has been placed across, we will use to miss it up, because we don't know what response, why we are getting the response, for what type of request we are getting the response in this one, unless it has been marked with the same identity number, that is called invoke identifier number on the response side. So if I say I am marking as 71, like a sequence number in the request, the same number should be reply back or get back on the response. The thing is, it need not come immediately. It can come at any time. Suppose it's a very lengthy one, or the communication has been broken down, something happened, and it come late at the time. Whatever time it comes across, like a person who comes at the later stage, the number is, if it belongs to the A section, definitely they go and stand the A section, never in the B or C section. So the C belongs to the 71 identity request placed on. The response of the invoker will come to know this response is for this one. So they can generate so many requests at a time, need not to bother wait for the response to come and send another request. If that is the case, it is not going to work it out. You wait for the response to come for the first request, then you send the second request. That is not the case, because you cannot able to send so many requests in a consequent manner. So that says you can send it up parallelly. You can expect the reply in some cases. You never need not to worry about the reply for some unconfirmed cases. So that would be the reason we are having a invoke identifier, the identifier of the operation. This, if I say some get operation, I put a number there, that is called your invoke identifier. It should be explained, it should be copied in the response from that get number. So it can be used to distinguish the operation from the notification operand that service provider may have in progress. So shall have a unique invoke identifier. So the final response shall have an invoke identifier, that of the invoke identifier provided in the indication primit, earlier stage which we are sending it out. The link is, if you need to send it a multiple replies, I come to know, I don't know what is the link is going to be. It's like a chain. You are having a number, you start with a number, then link identifier will be copied to the same, the consequence packets or link replace comes for the only one request, I can put it across. Then that is called the link identifier. How I will identify these responses are for the purpose of the request I have sent earlier, number 70. So that they will have a invoke identifier as well as link response or link identifier that will tell these things are for link. Remember one thing, it seems to be a little bit complicated of using a sequence number. When you get into the TCP or in an IP side, you call TCP, mostly TCP, you will read what is the response is going to be, how the sequence number will define individual packets which comes across, and so then you can when you can correlate the same thing here itself. You have a link identifier, invoke identifier. Invoke is for the single response I put across or any request and response. If it is so many responses, definitely you need a link response on this one, right? Link identifier on this one. Here one is managed operation model, notification model. There's a two different things. Manager, always an operation model, services provided by the CMISC, it is going to be the invoker is going to invoke a request and reply is going to. Here the invoker is going to be, most of the time, the invoker is going to be the manager. Here the performer is going to be an agent. The same thing when I go for any notification, any alarm site or any state information you come across, most of the time here the invoker is an agent and the response, the performer is going to be the manager. I can call it up in the agent as a manage object, this one. So the way whoever is going to invoke and request, they are called invoker. Whoever going to respond to request, they are called the performer. Keep it that in mind. It could be one time, it could be in the operation side, the invoker is going to be the manager. On the notification time, the manager is going to be act as a performer. So there is a two difference. Operation side is one thing and manager side is one. Both the time is one is act as an invoker, another one is act as a performer. It is not a very confined one, saying always the manager is going to be an invoker. It could be on the notification services, that manager is going to be invoker, it's going to be a performer and that one. So now we are having a event report services, right? Here I have given so many parameters. He says invoker identifier, parameter name invoke identifier, and it's a request and the response is going to be some indication, some confirmation, right? The parameter name is invoke identifier, mode, manage object class, manage auto instance, event type. Now we are going to see one by one what is the semantics of all those things, how it could be interpreted in the ordinary thing. Event report services we come across. See, these things are explained. I have given mention M, that it says mandatory. I have given U in this one. On the response one, it says user preference, and C says condition. It could carry sometimes in the bracket a equal sign. If that is condition is satisfied, you can go across, and whatever the action you need for the condition, you can give it up there. So now we have explained what is the mandatory, user preference, and condition. Now we will see what is the parameter is going to be, our name is going to be here. Here, M event report service, that is a notification service, not an operation service. It's a notification service. I am starting with the notification service. This is the notification service. Who is the invoker here is, it's a invoker is a agent, performer is a manager. Normally, because notification says something happened, it is like a, if there is a fire alarm goes across, the fire alarm has been created by that person is an agent, and the receiver is a service provider, that is a manager. So it's like a same thing. Agent is going to be an invoker. Here, this manager is going to be the performer in this scenario. So always agent placed a request, or he will send some information, he will request something, and response could be according to what the request he is asking for that. Then now see the semantics of inside what is happening there. Invoke identifier. Definitely you need an identifier which should be mandatory for both the thing, request as well as response. They have put an equal sign near the M there. Right? That is a simple thing. Say there is a request is a M. If I say 70 is my invoke identifier, I can write the identifier in the request, and I write the identifier in the response. Why there is a bracket there? Right? Equal sign is there. Say it's a condition. Right? Suppose if I need a response for that one, if suppose I am requesting a unconfirmed response or acknowledgement for that one, then definitely it should be copied in my response. Suppose if it is not an unconfirmed one, in other term you can say I don't need an acknowledgement for the response, I send it across, then there is no need to say, copy anything on the response time. Response reply. So that is why they are given an equal sign saying depending upon whether it's a confirm or unconfirmed response. Acknowledgement, or you want to acknowledge the request or you don't want to acknowledge the request. That is a simple thing. Then we are coming in the mode. Mode is a thing which you used to say, it is a, again the mode says it's a confirm or unconfirm. That this unconformity will decide whether you are copying it in the M or not. That is why this mode is going to reply whether you will copy it up the same thing in the response time or not is going to be. Definitely if you are sending a response, this M should be equal to this M. If it is confirmed case, definitely this M should be equal to this. Even though the multiple response you get it from that, in our single response, most of the time single response only. Because here the agent is sending some request here, the manager is saying, manager doesn't want to reply, it's like he is at a lower level, so he never bother about responding him, unless he needs some response, he never bother about all the responses. Either you could acknowledge, okay, I have received your log information or the alarm and everything, so you need not to bother about all this thing, I will take care of everything. That is a man, that would be the manager attitude always is going to be. So whether it will send it up that, if he acknowledge the person has sent a request, then definitely copy the invoke identifier in this one. Then manage object class. There is a thing object class we could go across, because we are creating an instance of all the classes which will be in the tree format, and then within that we are creating an instance. So if it is going to be a manage object class is M, then you copy it up according to your user preference. The user, in a sense, the person, manager. Here it's a notification, so the response is definitely come from the manager itself. So the manager is going to be, don't stick it into the manager, I will call it up otherwise a performer. The performer is going to be object class, which is the user preference, which the performer will decide whether he wants to send the same object class number, copy in the response time. It definitely doesn't need it up, because already the person who is sending, or the invoker is sending the information. Why should he copy it up in the response time and put it up? It is user preference there. The same thing is object instance. You remember a thing, object classes, if it is a switched object classes, you have a switch, or interfaces, you have a switch in a common object class. You can create the instance of the thing and you name it up according to the naming nomenclature. Then you go across and find that thing. So it is a naming is object class is going to be the complete one, which is a type of the resources you are having it up. Then the instant is going to be the entity which is going to be attached with this one. So you can give the names according to that. Definitely you should be included in the request side or the invoker side. But it doesn't mean the response should carry the same information back to the acknowledgement in this one. Then they have given an event type. The fifth one is an event type. What it says is manage object, that is an object class, always define what is the event type is going to be. The thing is, suppose I am having a event type which says I am having an alarm. Alarm should be clicked or the alarm is going on. That event type is alarm type. Notification, alarm notification is my event type. But the object class which I put across, that is a terminal end. Suppose the object class is a terminal end. It doesn't have any alarm notification in its methodology or the characters or the parameter side, then it is a error there. So what happens here is, suppose I am not carry any event type which is belong to me as an object, then definitely it is going to be an error type. If it is belongs to me, I acknowledge the event type saying yes, it belongs to me. So if it is not belongs to the object class, then definitely error can be sent back to them. Error indication can be sent back or error notification can be sent back there. It says, see, it is sending an error back is a bigger question mark there. Why should the manage object should send an error, this error here, right? Because the error is not the error which happened due to some malfunctioning or the communication error. The error has happened due to the way the object doesn't have the item type, or you can get event type on this one. So sometimes it will respond back, sometimes it never bothers about it, because that is not the error actually. The error, you cannot call it up something which is not belong to me. They have asked something which is not belong to me, then I can say it is not my error to have not having it up with me, because I don't have the necessary for having that event type with me. There is no way I can say it up, it is an error there. So that manager will, that the performer will decide it is not an error. So why should I respond back as an error to him? So he will just leave it up, right? It is a possibility, error can be reported, error may not be reported. So what it says is the event type which we are speaking about is depends upon the manage object class, right? So that is a confirm, that is a conditional basis. If it is belong to that one, if it is going to be confirm one, you are going to give some answer there, right? If the event type is belong this one, then I can go across it. If it is not belong to the object class, if it is not in me, it is not my responsible, I am not having it with me, it is not belongs to me, it is no use to me, then what happens here is it can send back as an error. You never treat it up as an error. It can not send back as an error. That is a simple logic. Now we are having it up event type. We will come across the event type in a little bit. Event type. The time is going to be like a timestamp. You will study it up TTP, that is going to be, TTL is going to be in your all the packets we put it across there. The TTL is going to be mostly timestamp which comes across. Timestamp is one of the term, you will hear it up throughout your network. It says you are putting the current time, what time the event occurs on this one. That is your event time, what time it has occurred. Sometimes it will be very useful because it says why it has started and what is the purpose of this one. After some event, whether it has triggered due to some event happening there, or it is on its own, it has malfunction and try to send it up there. These things will be interpreted by the manager or the performer to understand why this event has been happened. So timestamp is, again I put it up as a timestamp is going to be the dash. It says you can put it up, it is not a compulsory, because you never return back all those things. It is not a compulsory thing. You never bother about put the same timestamp back in this one. So dash implies there is no way, it is not applicable state. Dash implies, so no need to send it up back. Event information, that is a user preference. There it says time and event time and event information is user preference. He has to send it up. If your type is belongs to the object class, that is a invoker can put across. The event information is one of the information which says what is the highest, what is the severity of the event. Suppose the alarm is going on, right? Suppose some alarm has been clicked on and the notification has been gone across, right? I just want to know, the manager or the performer wants to know whether the alarm is very severe one, or it's a very macro level, or it's a micro level, or it's a malfunction due to malfunction. These type of information should reach the manager or the performer to identify whether he has to identify whether he can put it up in the event log file or to do for an action based on that one. That is why if you have an event type, the condition has been satisfied, your event time and event information follows it. You need an event information that should be reported by the request. Based on the request, it will put back and send back to the manager or the performer. Here the invoker is the agent, right? So the event information comes across what is the severity, how we are doing it up on this one, right? It is an error. We will see it up how the error messages will come across, what type of errors comes across. So we need not to worry about the error and anything. Then the current time, it's also user preference. He can put it up the current time or he can skip it up there. Then even reply. The reply is condition basis, right? If you want to reply the agent saying these actions you can take at the end, or you set it up these things so that the alarm will go off, some malfunction or some parameters set it in the wrong way has triggered that alarm. So you just set it up in this one. These things will be replayed back in this one. Then the errors, if it is suppose error, it will be condition basis. You can send it up there. Everything decided by how you, whether you are doing it up in a different way. So errors are these type of errors which event is not belong to the object class. Error is not going to be one of the things which is going to be on the way. So we will see it up. Okay. Now we have seen what is an M, what is an U, and what is an C. Where we have placed all those things. Whether it has been request or it's going to be a response, we can say it up. Now we are having an event example which says how the event has been put across. I have given a drawing in this one. In a book, they have given a drawing. How it could be reflected on this one, right? Now you have seen so many slots. Each slot carries a card. They have explained what is a card and what is a protecting a control card, time slot interchange card, then a power supply card, transport card. Every card has been put across. You can put it a video card or any cards which you can go across. Then it's an object is here. Here I have given an example of event report service has been generated by the card, some of the card, which is an agent, agent is working on the card to the manager. I don't know where the manager resides. If people don't know where the manager. So it's a event report. So the invoker here is an agent. The performer here is a manager, right? The invoker identity, he is placing some value on this one. Yeah, it's first time has been, which has been. Then the mode is unconfirmed. It says, I don't need a response. I'm just sending back whatever the event happening is. Here some alarm has been gone. So I just want to send back what is an alarm or some notification. If it is not alarm in the hearing side, it is an alarm says some notification, something gone wrong. So I'm sending it out there. Then the manage object class is circuit path. So the class is going to be the manager equipment holder. That is your object class. You have created an object class called equipment holder. Within that one, I create an instance that is your circuit pack. Then you have created a circuit pack for the card. The circuit pack is another one, which is going to be a manage object class. Within that manage object class, I create an object instance, which is an equipment ID. Or I can put it up, every card it is going to be there. So my equipment ID is 4. Then another ID is individual ID, unique ID is TSIC. It has been in the 4th slot. I can say my equipment ID is a slot. Within the slot, it has a name ID, TSIC. So it goes across this one. Right? Here the TSIS has some problem. Then the equipment type, event type is depending upon the class. which has an alarm, which is included in the parameter side. Event type has been included in the object class, circuit pack, equipment alarm. That the event type is called equipment alarm. This alarm is the due to the malfunctioning or not performing action of the TSI card, TSI-CA card, right? This is the due to some, it has been gone down, the card has been gone down or something happens to the card, there is no backup supporting that card, then what happens is they try to create an alarm. Suppose if there is a backup is available for that card, it switch to the other card and do the work and send it up in the later stage of the collective response to the manager, right? So it happens, if there is only one card available, that card has gone down, definitely it has to put the notification to the manager or the performer. So he says that event type is alarm. The event type is alarm, equipment alarm. Then the time period, they have stamped it up in this way. The time is 17 or 7 date and time has been put across, time occurrence of the time, right? Then there is no event information because it says whether it's a severe one, gone, it completely it has gone. So why should I bother about all those things, right? So my thing is, if it has gone down, I have another way to put it across them. So event information says if completely it has gone down, it has gone down. That's all. There is no severity, there is no macro or micro. You cannot write it up there. What is the information? We come to know something happens to them. That's all. Then the probably cause is you have to probably replaceable unit problem. The problem is with the unit. It's probably cause. That information says then perceived severity is very critical because there is no backup comes across. So the two things will attach to the information and get back to this one. So this is a model of an host digital terminal and the whole thing is event report example. So I have given a event report service. I have given an event report example. Then we come across as an errors, right? Here, what error we are seeing it up is, what happens here is we have duplication invocation, general, then invalid argument type, that is going to be your argument type. Then hello, can you hear me? Sorry. Duplication invocation is the error. We are seeing here what is an error. We have earlier seen is what are the event report and how it is going to be. I have got so many reports here. See, this is going to be a yum set. In your book, they are given yum get and yum set and yum action, yum create, delete, cancel. Everything is there, right? You can say it up. These things are going to get in your book. They are given every book. Suppose if they ask it up in the 16 mark or 13 mark, you have to write all those things are given answer. Third, at the last session, I will teach you all those things. Now we are getting into errors. What type of errors you can expect from these all those things? That's a simple question mark, right? Examples are error values, right? What are the errors? They say first error is duplication invocation. That is it is repeatedly you can go across. That identifier has been reused. Reusing an identifier is not a favorable one, right? Because it creates a lot of complications in this one. Suppose I am having a one which will reach up in the later stage, the same identifier, then it is going to say whether the response is from them or the duplication is going to be there. So invocation identifier has been reused period to the completion of the request with the same identifier. That is a thing. Remember one thing, if the response is going to be multiple response, if you cannot able to capture all the responses before you reuse it up, if you not have it up there, then definitely it's going to create a problem. So make sure that link responses, all the response has been received before you reuse the existing identifier, invocation identifier, right? That is a complication you put across there. Suppose it is it has been get a single response, that is fine. The another thing is sometimes you never wait for a response because it's an unconfirmed one, and they, according to the preference, they try to send it back to you as a response. Acknowledgement sometimes come, it won't come. They never expect a response, but So sometimes a performer try to send it an acknowledgement and they use the same identifier, the problem starts. Right? So it has to be because the transport has to the message are resent if acknowledgement is not received at the application level, resending. Now here one question comes across, why the application layer has been spoken in this one services. See, application layer never bother about acknowledgement as a layer you have to make sure. So unless the CMIC services is going to be bothered about the acknowledgement, you need not to worry about all those things. But in a TCP and everything, you come to know there is an acknowledgement waiting. You need an acknowledgement. You need an acknowledgement so that the acknowledgement is whether the packets has been transported or not, reach the station or not, everything will be repaired. The layer itself works on this one. That is why your application layer never bother about what the packet you send it up, what the packet you receive it up. It never has as a protocol. It never bother about. It never go and say application error are reusing this. They never give it out there. So it is only thing for the CMSA to take care of all those things and make sure the reusability is in going a proper way or anything. Right? Invalid argument value, notification and action operation. It says event or action information depending on the service is not valued. Right? It is going to be a one second. Pandi sir. Pandi sir. Pandi sir. Is it there? Pandi sir. Hello. Pandi sir, Leah. Okay, just go through that one. Then it says invalid argument value, then notification and action operation, right? It says it's an invalid argument value. That is, you can say notification and action operation. Event or action information services is not valid. That is, some parameter may not be out of defined range. Value some of the some or all the parameter may be out of it. This is something which is not a very confined one. We can put across. It's an argument value, right? Suppose my IP table carries only 1000 entries there, and if you are working on, if you want some information regarding the IP table which is more than 1000 entries there, 1500 entry, or it's going to be the entries there, then it says it is beyond its level to get back. These type of arguments has been invalid for that type of object instances. Then I can put it up, say, okay, fine, we can call it up as a argument error, and we sometimes we send it up, sometimes in this one. It's a notification and action operation, right? Good. Then unrecognized operation. That is one of the unrecognized operation is general one, right? It comes under the category general one, unrecognized. The request operation not one of the CMSA, or it's going to be the services which is available, right? One another thing is request operation is not one of the CMSA defined services that even report, get, set, anything there is going to be. Its services is not belongs to that one. So I can say it's a very unrecognized one. No such event type. That is another thing is the event type is not available. It's not a different for the manager. Earlier we have seen it. If it is not available, it has been as a error. Send back as a notification saying, okay, I'm not having that type of event type. It is not belong to me. Why should I bother about all those things? So I send it up. It is not an error, but it sends up as a notification. You can call it up, right? Then processing failure, general. That is a general category, processing failure. Error or a second when the processing the request, right? This error value with the further argumenting is going to be a one thing. Error when processing the request, the error value without further argumenting does not provide enough information. That is a one thing, right? It is an error. It says I cannot able to progress this one. I don't know how to progress it, but I need a lot of information, or it is not going to be enough information to do work on this one. That that is says a processing failure. You can send back the processing failure. It's a normal thing because we cannot expect all the types or even values should be added with this one, so we can get back it. Then access denied. That is a management information. If I have a right only, then I can do the work on it. Access privilege is one of the thing which has been put across and say operations are not available for this one. So some access privileges are available for that and some are not available for this one. Then no object class. I will teach that one next. No object and no such an attribute thing. We deal it up in this one. Pandi sir? Pandi sir? Okay, I will stop at this one. I just want you to do the assignment for